Hi, welcome to Pursuit of Truth. Just a bit of an update on the mortgage house type thing that I was talking about in previous podcasts. I always think it's a bit weird when I talk about these things because, I suppose you could say they're not related, but I think they are, because there's things I'm finding out, and if I can talk about things that I know almost nothing about, I'm sure I can talk about things I know about. At least then I can educate other people who are going through the same issue as me. I'd like to listen to people who have gone through the same situation, where it comes to trying to purchase a house. I mean, I know there's a lot worse problems out in the world, I understand that. But yeah, this is the one I'm coming up at the moment to. So previously, a bank, I should name names, but I'm not going to for now, gave us the idea that we could get a £200,000 mortgage. And that is not enough as it is, but because if you want to use the government schemes, which I assume the government schemes are meant for first-time buyers or for low-income people like myself, then they should help you. But the problem is the mortgage that I raised, if you look at the shared ownership ones, which we were advised by a broker who hasn't come back to us since with any information. I don't know, maybe it's to do with the same thing, but we'll detail that later. So the house is on there because they're allowed to go up to 600,000. So a lot of them are 4, 5, 600,000, and the amount you need to be able to get a mortgage for is about 290. I mean, the thing is, if you could get a mortgage for 290, you could buy the house yourself. There are properties that are 290, 300. There are some that are 350. But you could buy a property with 290. So what I mean is, how is that helping? It's not helping at all. And that's what, people, unless you actually delve into this, you don't realise. You think when the government talk about, we're building these houses and we've got these schemes for people. Well, this is me telling you that these schemes aren't working, because when I'm looking for houses, I'm not finding any houses that I could afford with the mortgage that I can get. They're building too expensive houses, not building houses that we could actually purchase. And then the Help to Buy scheme, the problem is that it's the same thing. They can build up to 600,000. You can't afford to get the bit that you have to pay for, plus then you're also paying, the government for the loan, and with the other one, shared ownership, you're paying a rent. So you're sort of kept in a situation where you're never really going to own it, because unless something happens in your life, you get more money from somewhere, then you might be able to actually purchase your house. Which leads me to the other thing, universal credit. Universal credit, which is meant to be helping people who are out of work, or people who are on low incomes and stuff like that. The problem with them is that they will, and this is my main gripe, it's a government scheme, but just look at this. That they will help you with renting, they've got no problem with helping you with renting up to a certain amount, and they will do that. Now, just remember that renting, what does that mean? That means I'm paying somebody else. The person I'm paying has no problem buying a house, because he must already have a house, plus he has another house. So he has two houses, this person that I'm paying the rent to, at least. So the government are giving me money to give to that person, and I'm still going to need money, because I'm going to need to pay rent again. But they won't help you with a mortgage. If you get your house, they take that money away, and they don't help you. They can loan you money, which you have to pay back, so that's not help. Because then you're left in the same situation of owing and that kind of problem. So it makes no sense, does it really? Because if you think about it, if I'm paying £1,000 to a landlord, I'm helping him out. A rich person who doesn't need help, I'm helping him out. That's who the government are really helping. Yes, they're helping me by proxy, but they're helping me even more. But they could give me the same money, and I could get a mortgage on my own house, and I could pay repayments. Repayments are actually lower than the rent. So if they help me with the house, they would have to pay me less money. They'd be saving the taxpayer money, and at the end of it, I would own a house, and I wouldn't need to get help from Universal Credit because I'd actually own a house in 25, 26 years. But they won't do that. They'll help the renting part. So I'll always be needing them, and I'll always not own anything. And always the person who doesn't need the help is getting the help. Just explain to me how that works in the real world. Surely, how do they not understand that? And I've actually asked Universal Credit that question, and I'm sure they're not going to answer it, because I've asked them, because the problem we had with our banks, they promised $200,000, but then they checked the Universal Credit part, and they minus now the housing part of that, because they obviously know that disappears, I assume. I mean, I don't actually know, because I've never got Universal Credit to admit whether it does go or not, but I'm assuming it does, from all I've read, and the little bit of answer they did give me. So they've taken it away, so that means now that they're only going to give us 120,000, which is not enough to buy anything. I mean, I can't even buy now the boats that come up on when you go on Rightmove and Zoopla. You get boats, or you get park houses. Can't even afford those now. I mean, it's rubbish really, because if Universal Credit can't tell me my next payment is if I did move into this house, because I asked them, I gave them the example and said, so, would you be able to tell me how much I'd be getting? They said, no, we can't do that. We have to do it based on, the calculations you give us at the time. So they can't tell me, but the bank, they can tell, that they can minus it off because I'm not going to get it. But I don't understand how that works anyway, because aren't they supposed to be looking at the figures that they're actually presented with at the time? Not a future thing, because, you could, say you were two couple and you both had a job and you went there and you got the house, they looked at your money, yes, here's your salary, and the person got the sack the next week. You'd still get the mortgage, and then you'd have to work out the payments. The problem is, I don't have a problem with the payments. That's the ironic thing. I've paid rent, £1,000, for 8 years, every single month on time. Even if they took the housing bit away, I'd still be able to afford the repayments, because the repayments are like 800, 900. And that's repayments, that's not interest only, that's repayments. So I'm actually purchasing the house with less money that the government are helping me with. So how does that work? Why is it I can see the idiocy in that, but the ministers that run this don't? Well, of course they must do, isn't it? Because if I can see it, they must see it. So really, they're not helping us. Obviously I know that, but why is it everyone doesn't see that? I suppose the people who are on Universal Credit, they do see it, and I guess it's not, how many people is it? A few million. So out of 60 million, that's probably why nothing's done about it, is it? If it was happening to every single person, they'd all be up in arms, but it's another proof in a way if you look at it. I'm telling you, this, and you can look at it yourself and research it, you can find it out, and then you can see. So, they make out that they're helping low-income and first-time buyers, whereas I'm telling you they're not, and this is what's going on. And you can see it yourself. How does it make sense that they're willing to help me with rent, but not willing to help me with mortgage, despite mortgage actually being less money and actually benefiting me, the person they're meant to be helping in the end, rather than the person who's got more than one house? I mean, that's simple, isn't it? So if that's the way their mentality is, that's basically lying, isn't it? Misleading, deceiving, making you think that they are helping some portion of people that are not really. And that's just like one little thing. But if you think about that, and then what else are they lying about, if they can lie about stuff like that? Obvious, isn't it? I mean, but it just frustrates me so much. It's making me ill, seriously. It is making me ill, and I've written this poem. It's called Unbeaten, because yesterday I just felt like I can't keep fighting this. I can't keep asking people, can you answer this, and they just say, no, we can't answer that. or people that, you know, like, I'm sure when I go to the bank, because they say, oh, they might be able to help us, maybe that's that we have to join them, then they will give us the money, I don't know. But let's see. But, you know, even if I explain to them, wait a minute, why can't you give me a mortgage when I tell you that you can see by the figures in front of you that I could pay the repayments because I'm managing the rent. Even if you take that money away, we still have enough to pay that money and live. So why can't you give me the money? Oh, I can't give the money because your salary doesn't go up to 4 times the amount of the house. Like, how are you fucking stupid, yeah? What does it matter whether my salary is 4 times the house or not? I mean, that sophistry is rubbish. Is made to keep, you know, that was made so that people who are rich kept all the houses. You know, it's the same with this old leasehold thing. Who would buy a leasehold house that you pay all your life and then you have to give it away in 100 years or whatever? These kinds of rubbish systems, or recently I've been checking about life insurance, you know, where you get whole life, yeah? That's very expensive, you know, so expensive. It's like £300 a month. Who can afford that? Or you can get term, where it's like a few pounds. But the problem is with term, it's like 26 years or something. How do you know when you're going to die? Who would be so stupid to do that? But people have to, because that's the only one that's cheaper. So you end up spending all that money, and then you live. You'd be wishing you died, so that at least your loved one will get the money that you put in and the money that they're going to pay out. I mean, I know they're taking a risk by doing that, but it just seems to be there's so many things I'm seeing, you know, that I've seen in my life already. The hoops you have to jump through, all of this is just too much now, you know. And I'm just thinking that I can't beat them. This is the system. It doesn't matter how much I get red in the face and how much I know that they're lying or are stupid, the things that they do. I can talk to a bank manager and explain exactly what I've said now, and he'll just say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Or, yeah, that makes sense, but there's nothing I can do about it. Or Universal Credit will just say, no, we don't have an answer for you for that. Or if I write to a minister or whatever, they just write me back a printed letter and sign at the end, and nothing gets done about it. Because they don't really want to change the way the system is. The system is not a functioning system for the majority of people. It's a functioning system for those who are lucky enough to have money and wealth and property and want to keep on to it. Anyway, I'll put the poem on my other podcast on Anchor FM, which is Poems, I think it's called. It's under the English Poet. And I'll stick it on YouTube as well under John Doe Poems. Alright, take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.